Hi, Amy.
Abby.
Last night was before the 90 days season. What? What did I just say? I have no idea. Okay, let me start again. Before the 90 days, season 7, episode 14. And we also have bonus content as usual covering The Other Way, season 6, episode 22, which is the final episode of the season.
I'd like to say finally, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, well, we will. Just a reminder to everyone that if you prefer to watch our podcast rather than listen, head on over to YouTube and look for our channel at 90 Day Fiancé Honestly.
Please don't
And
judge me right now. I have this stomach flu and I feel like I look like how I feel.
yes, we need a health announcement today. Amy is not well. Be gentle. This week, we are launching our subscriber-only content, which will cover the season 2 of The Last Resort. The show will be available through Apple and Spotify only, with a monthly cost of just $4.99. Our regular podcast, which is free and ad-free, will continue as always to cover all the 90-day shows that come out on Sunday nights. The paid podcast is for Monday night shows. Okay, shall we get started?
Let's do this.
Let's wade through this muck of an episode.
Oh,
wow.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a mess.
Starting with lovely Loren and fabulous Faith. They're back in Manila. Loren is laying it on thick, so thick, because he wants to advance to a physical relationship now. As soon as the doctor gives him the all clear, that is. Because, of course, we still have the gonorrhea issue hiding in the background.
Yes, but he's on his last day of Medsby.
Yay, there was much rejoicing throughout the land. I mean, come on. This is a low bar that we have set for ourselves, that we have to wait until our boyfriend's STD is gone before you can even kiss him.
Oh.
Yike. And while they're waiting for the doctor's all clear, they go to meet Faith's friends, which is nice because we had the interrupted introduction to her friends a few episodes ago. So now that's finally taking place because Faith is in a good place herself. She feels confident in her relationship. Okay. She takes him and her friends to a club where there's drag queen stuff happening.
Performances.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And I love the moment when Faith was encouraged to go on stage by her friends, and it seemed like the entire audience in the background as well. So she did go up on stage and do a short dance for everyone, which was fantastic.
She looked like she was so happy and she was having so much fun. I was cheering her on from my desk.
She was so confident. She was in her element. She was alive. She was beautiful. It was a fantastic moment. And I really love that we got to see Faith on her full display. You know, this is the real her. This is her true spirit, just letting loose and being free and unencumbered. Wonderful moment. And then after the performance, she goes over to Loren, and on this wave of bravery and courage and feeling good about herself, they finally share their first kiss. And I was of two minds about it. Because I'm like, oh, it's your first kiss. And then I was like, oh, it's your first kiss.
But also, yay, it's her first kiss. And only her first kiss. With Loren, I mean, because...
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah. Ew. 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 Ew.
Yeah.
Ew. And Loren, encouraged by having this first kiss, as if it's courage, liquid courage for him, goes on to start talking about marriage, which is a bit of a leap from first kiss to, oh, we're going to get married someday. How's that going to work? A little worried.
The fact that he was all, I'm here for you. I'm not here for the Philippines, even though, I suggested marrying your mom so that I could stay here, but I'm totally here for you.
Of course you are.
Are you? And I wanted to add this little tidbit. I know I texted you this earlier, but I did some Googling because we have theorized in the past that Loren wants to stay in the Philippines so that he can skirt his financial obligations to his children, which is disgusting. But on February 18th of 2022, the Philippines signed the Convention on the International Recovery of Child Support, also known as the Child Support Convention. And to paraphrase, it facilitates the recovery of child support of people who are overseas. And that was per the Library of Congress. So our theory of Loren trying to skirt his responsibilities, no, the law sees through that.
Yeah, how wonderful that even in the Philippines he would not be able to escape. However, I will say that I think just as he does in the US, he would be able to find a job that is basically under the table, all cash, so that he wouldn't be filling out the proper tax forms and therefore reporting an income which could then be tracked, traced, garnished, all that stuff.
Right. But, he did say that he's going to get a better paying job so that he can help support Faith. So
I can't wait. I can't wait for him to get a great job so that he can both support Faith and her family, as well as his 2 children back at home in the US,
yeah,
who richly deserve his financial support.
is this actually going to happen? I highly doubt it. But
Yeah, I have my doubts.
Mhm.
And you know who else has doubts?
All of her friends.
Bingo.
Love that.
All of the friends. They immediately call him out on his cheating in the past.
Mm-hmm.
They ask, how many women did you sleep with while you were involved in an online relationship with Faith? And that number, which we don't get a straight answer on, goes from 3 to 5 to 7 in very quick succession.
Mm-hmm.
So probably more than that. And he keeps saying, oh, it's okay. It's okay. I'm the bad guy, as if he's acknowledging that he is in the wrong, which he was because
Mm-hmm.
he cheated on Faith. It really doesn't sound to me like an honest to goodness apology. There's nothing behind it. There's no real remorse, I don't think. Like, I don't feel that coming from him when I'm watching him, because not only is he not really apologetic in a kind of meaningful way where your body language is suggesting that you feel sorry, your head is down, you look down. None of that. He's grinning from ear to ear. He's still his happy-go-lucky self. And he's not actually saying the words, I'm sorry, I did a bad thing. He's just saying, I'm the bad guy. I don't get it. I don't feel it. It feels to me like he's pawning off his behavior as ignorance only, because he says he didn't know that Faith wanted him to be exclusive. So I'm the bad guy, but I didn't do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He actually gave me Brian vibes in
Yeah.
this situation, because it was all like, oh yeah, I did, but she didn't ask me directly. So, I mean, whose fault is it?
Yeah, definitely hers. Because had she actually asked him or declared that they had to have an embargo on sleeping with other people, he wouldn't have done it, of course, because he's pure-hearted and good. Our sweet Loren.
Poor guy. He's the bad guy, though.
Okay, so some choice words from the friends while describing Loren to the camera. They say he's arrogant, he
Love
talks too
that.
much, and he looks like trouble.
Yes.
Spot on. I love that the friends are so perceptive that it comes across from Loren so clearly to them in person that they're able to see this immediately.
And
What did you think?
you asked me last week if there was any chance that I ever thought that, it was last week or the week before, if I thought that there was any chance that Loren would charm her family. And surprisingly, it happened. But not surprisingly, it didn't go over very well with her friends. And I'm very, very happy to see that.
Yeah, me too. I hope the friend's opinion has some sway with Faith, because I really think that at this point in the story, based on her body language, based on the words she's using, that she is very much buying into Loren 100%.
And I think the support of her family really helped with that.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that she loves and appreciates and trusts her friends enough to listen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they do take Faith aside at the end of their segment and tell her about having seen Faith go to talk to one of the drag queens.
Loren.
Oh, sorry, having seen Loren go to talk to one of the drag queens, and that Loren was very flirty with the drag queen, which they said was a red flag, and they wanted Faith to know about that, which is great. When she finds out about it and she confronts Loren, again, he's Mr. Teflon. Nothing sticks to him. Well, what am I supposed to do? It's a drag queen. I'm supposed to flirt with them. How? When? Why? What planet? Where are you from?
Yes. that was
You know what I mean?
excuse me, that was my response too. Like I've been to many a drag show in my day, and at no point have I ever thought, oh, I have to flirt with all of the drag queens because that's what you do. No, it's
It's
not.
what you're supposed to do.
You,
Supposed to do.
you're supposed to be supportive of their performances and, their artistry, and it has nothing to do with flirting with them in a sexually suggestive manner.
Yeah. And Loren doesn't even deny it.
Mm-mm.
There's no, oh, no, I wasn't. You misinterpreted. He just flat out says, yes, I was. And that's what they expect me to do. That's what you're supposed to do. So I was just conforming to the expected rules of drag queen society. And therefore I'm innocent of being a bad boyfriend.
At first he says he didn't think he was flirting, and then that's when he comes out with, well, that's what you're supposed to do. Oh, okay. You want to pick one?
Yeah. I just love the way that he brushes everything off that he does that Faith finds difficult, problematic, as her not having communicated to him properly in the first place, or this is convention. I'm just adhering to convention, and you're not understanding that this is convention, so therefore you're in the wrong, and I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do.
She's the ignorant one.
Poor Faith. I hope the light bulb goes on soon for her, because I don't want her to get to the point where she's physically intimate with him beyond just the kissing, and then to discover, oh, he's a piece of shit. I really need to go and get rid of him. Jettison.
Well, there have been several times where we thought, okay, she's done. Yes, this is great. She's done.
I know.
But I really feel it this time. I really, really hope that this is it.
Yeah.
Because she deserves so much more. And I also I don't want to see him on my TV anymore.
Agreed. I think Faith is caught in this really difficult moment of having just garnered her family's support for the relationship, which is obviously of extreme importance to her.
Mm-hmm.
And then having her friends give this damning report on what they think of Loren and what they've seen him do. And she has to find her way through all of that information and figure out what her heart wants and what she can live with.
I think she's strong enough to get there.
Yeah, I do too. But because she is so put together, because she's so calm and she takes such time to consider her feelings and to think about the situation, we've seen a number of times where she's said to Loren, look, I just need some time to think about this. So I'm going to go away and do my own thing for a bit, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. Because she's that way, I think that it's going to take a while for her to get to the point of realizing time to let him go and set herself free.
I hope so.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really hope so.
Next up, if you are ready,
mm-hmm.
Niles and Matilda. Here's another woman there are many women in this episode who are extraordinarily pissed off at their partners. Matilda is one of them.
Very strong-willed women, which I greatly appreciate.
Yes, but Matilda is angry with Niles because she perceives Niles as having brought shame on her in front of Mr. Ark. Thankfully, Niles is wonderful. Niles recognizes that he shifted the blame that he felt when Mr. Ark confronted him, and he shifted that blame onto Matilda, and he realizes that was not the right thing to do, that he felt personally attacked, and so he was attacking out of a response to that. So he apologizes to Matilda, which is lovely. He says, it doesn't matter who's right, who's wrong. Love is the only thing that matters, and the only thing that matters is that they're together and they love each other. Beautiful, wonderful philosophy. Love it.
I appreciated the fact that he said that he should have approached things differently.
Yes.
Good for you, Niles.
And then,
And then,
holy crap, Niles wants to get married as soon as the knock door ceremony is completed.
when we saw that he was going to have a change of heart, I was really worried that it was going to be a change of heart and, he pieces out. But then as I was watching it, I actually wrote down, is he going to change his mind and marry her on this trip? And then I nailed it.
Yeah, totally. He doesn't think it's fair that he's asking Matilda's family, that he's requesting of Matilda's culture that they change to adapt to him. So what he wants to do is adhere to the culture, adhere to the conventions of the family, the knock door ceremony, all of that, and go through with the wedding as soon as the knock door is done. And again, another truly beautiful moment. We just had Faith on stage in her element, being her true self. Now we've got this couple, I think, truly exhibiting how much they love each other, how much they really care about one another. I believe wholeheartedly that they can work through anything based on how they've approached all of their confrontations so far. They're really measured and courteous and kind to the other, even if they have the big blow up, even if they had the argument in the car that was fairly nasty. They calm down, they talk to each other nicely, and they come to a place where it really doesn't matter who's right, who's wrong. Let's just move on together.
That this situation screamed compromise, which is not something that we've seen a lot of lately. So I greatly appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. So both of them are very happy, very much in love, but they only have 2 days to plan their wedding, which is short.
No pressure.
So the next day, they go to Matilda's family so that Niles can negotiate the bride price with Mr. Ark as his representative, as his father figure. However, the setup is a little bit disturbing because Niles has no understanding of the language. They're all speaking in a language he doesn't understand, so he doesn't know what the terms are that are being negotiated on his behalf. Rather awkward.
And what else was awkward was before, when Mr. Ark was talking to Niles, I think it was in the last episode, and he said, you talk to her family about marrying her with her there. That's completely forbidden. And yet here she is sitting there in the middle of the negotiations for the bride price. That was confusing for me.
I feel like Mr. Ark has a little bit of an interesting side to his personality. And perhaps things change based on how he feels in the moment.
I can see that.
Because, Matilda was there and she is not supposed to be there. In any case, they do get to a conclusion. And when Niles finds out finally what that conclusion is, he learns that it's a total of $400 that he has to provide to the family for the bride price for all of the things that are going to be purchased, including his clothing and her clothing. But there's so many buts. But he's been hiding something from Matilda, which is that he does not have a lot of money left due to the fact that he was fired a couple of days before he left for Ghana. Ouch.
It's so sad because I know how much he enjoyed his job.
I
didn't see this coming. This was a blow for me, as well as I'm sure it was for poor Matilda.
Yeah, it is a blow. I mean, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, possibly, because as Niles withdraws all the rest of the money that he has in his bank account, which amounts to about $100, he decides that he's going to go to Mr. Ark to ask for help to raise the other $300 that he now needs in order to complete the wedding process. So there is hope, but I found it interesting that Niles didn't mention his family at all in all of this sequence, because we know that his family don't approve of him going over there.
But he did.
Okay. But he had kind of made a compromise, perhaps with them. I don't know for sure, perhaps just by himself, that he was only going to do part of the bridal ceremonies, but not the actual wedding while he was on this trip, and then go back home, get their approval, come back and get married to Matilda. So all of that's gone out the window.
Oh,
But
I
is he
see what you're
letting them
saying.
know? Has he talked to them? Has he told them what he's decided? Has he stood up and said, hey, mom and dad, this is what I've chosen to do. I know you don't approve, but I really love her and this is meant to be and the culture demands it. So I'm going to go through with it. We don't know. We don't get any of that information, which I really wanted to know.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you on that. I did want to make a note that it seemed as though the bride price seemed a little steep in comparison to Emily and Kobe's knock door ceremony, because I feel like the bride price there was like $2.75.
Yes, that was the price just for the bride. And then there were all the other things that they bought. And we don't know how much they spent on all the other items.
Right. Okay, that's true. You're right.
It could be comparable, but yeah, it did seem a little high to me as well, based on what we've seen in the past.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody has any information, let us know. What's a normal bride price? What's the median?
I'd like to know.
Shall we move on?
I'd like to, but I have a cat on my notes. But anyway,
On your
let's do
notes.
this.
Okay, well, it's quite a short scene, and there's not all that much to discuss between Tigerlily and Adnan because this is the swimwear discussion and fashion show.
Awful.
But first, let's talk about babies using our baby voice. Ugh.
No.
Barf.
No, thanks.
Please. Anyway, they go to the cute pool so that Adnan can wear his t-shirt as promised and so that Tigerlily can try on her special swim outfits. Oh my God.
To be fair, they're markedly better. Is that the right word?
Yes.
Markedly better than our poor sweet Nicole.
They were. But Tigerlily has her own set of issues with both of these outfits. Oh my God, 10 lines. How am I going to get a tan? Oh no.
How about the tanning booth that you clearly frequent?
Jesus. So she does put on her swim costume, whatever. I really don't understand. She
dress. It was weird.
Yeah, very weird.
Strange.
Like she described, it looked like she was going to an event, like a party or something, because it looked like a little black dress. Anyway, she can show her arms and legs now, but later on, Adnan won't allow it. How does that work?
He says that his rules are easy for her, and he doesn't want to control her. He's not going to be the one to change, but he blames it on his religion. But it's my religion. It's not me. It's my religion.
Number of times that he said, "My religion, my God," and I've been like this all my life, drove me up the wall. What about her religion? What about her God? What about her being that way all of her life? There's no consideration for the female person in the relationship. None. Zero. She has to comply based on her husband's rules. She has to bend to whatever obligations he feels that she must bend to in order to fit into this world.
I think he summarized it perfectly when he said, "Are we done?"
Yeah. He doesn't have much patience for this.
Not at all. Just it's so dismissive. Are we done?
But the way that she brought it up, saying, "Oh, well, why didn't you tell me before?" Please, Tigerlily, you could have looked into this if you had wanted to. You could have researched. You could have looked, asked questions, used the Google, used the internet, found out exactly what it would mean for you to be married to a Muslim man in a Muslim country who is very traditional.
Then, to quote Tigerlily from one of the first episodes that we met her, why would I do that?
Because he's so cute.
Remember, why would they talk about finances? Why would we do that?
No.
Why would we talk about religion? Why?
No, why? It's just Adnan's fault. He didn't explicitly tell her. There's no bikinis.
She also didn't ask, so why is he gonna tell her? Is this the theme of this season? Don't ask, don't tell. Just wait until it blows up in your face.
I feel like when I'm watching these two, I lose brain cells.
Yes.
It's mind-numbing how
Yes.
stupid it is. You should have looked into it. You should have found out who he was and what he was all about, and he should have told you, and you guys should just be honest with each other. And eh, yeah, there's no point.
It's not. You're
They're
just getting married. Like,
no,
what does any of this matter?
no. You're just gonna make children and bring them into the world. There's no consequences. No, it's
Not
fine.
at all.
We're
No.
happy.
Mhm.
And on that note, shall we move to Magda and Joe?
Speaking of moving, this cat is on my notes and is
Again,
moving with said notes. Anyway, let's go without the notes.
okay. All right. Magda is also in a bad mood. She's very pissy because of, again, another cheating or perception of cheating situation with Joe.
Mm-hmm.
This is clearly not resolved, but they decide they're going to go do a touristy thing, which is to go visit a salt mine.
That looks so cool.
Yeah, very cool. Very interesting excursion for them.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe decides he's got to bite the bullet. He's got to apologize to her. So he says that he's sorry for the day before. But once again, I feel like we're having a non-genuine apology, much like Loren. He's smiling way too much when he delivers this apology. When Magda asks him for more details about his indiscretion, as she perceives it, because it's really, really hard to perceive it as a true cheating situation. More on that later. Joe pretends that he can't remember when she asks him more questions. Oh, I don't recall. I don't know. Really? And she buys it?
I don't know if she does.
She tries to force it out of him by saying, okay, here's the line in the sand. You've got to come clean with me about all of your bad behavior, all of your bad choices while we were together. Or if I find out later that something happened that you did not tell me about now, then we're done. And Joe admits, yes, actually, there is something else that I'm keeping as a secret from Magda. He admits that to us, not to her, which is that he's still friends with the ex that we met at the pool party. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't find this a problem, but he thinks that Magda would.
I can see how she would, because she seems like the jealous type.
She seems a little bit fragile, a little bit delicate in terms of coping with a current boyfriend's past. Okay, so he decides, I'm not going to tell her that because I'm only hers from now on. And I'm convinced that my ex-girlfriends are not going to be an issue for her at all anyway, so it doesn't matter, which is an interesting logic.
So he's just not going to tell her so he can so he can avoid the confrontation.
Yeah, when she's just said to him, tell me everything so that I know now, because later on down the line, it's going to be a problem for me if I found out something that I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Oops.
But why would he tell her now when he could just tell her later, or just not say anything at all?
Yeah, he's hoping to get away with it, which is very, very clear. I don't know. Like I said, I wouldn't have an issue with this because a person's past is their past. But Magda is definitely a jealous person.
Mm-hmm.
She definitely wants to leap ahead very, very quickly in a relationship to a point where you are exclusive, which is why there's this difficulty for her over the past, given that she assumed that she and Joe were exclusive basically right off the get-go when they started talking online, and he did not make that same assumption, so he was still dating and sleeping with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a huge, huge issue for her. Anyway, she doesn't end up feeling very well this day. They go back to the apartment that they've rented, and Joe looks after her, which is nice. I like to see partners looking after each other when they're sick. That's a good thing. But I did have this creeping feeling in the background that Joe was going to use this as an excuse to get much closer to Magda, especially in terms of the bedroom. And in fact, that is what happened. He ended up sleeping in the same bed with her.
Then he also put on his sweet kimono. So here she is laying in bed, not feeling very well. And he comes out, he's like, look at me. Look at my kimono. I got it in Japan. Look at me. Dude, she's not feeling well. She wants to lay down and have a nap. And now you're going to put on this stupid performance. Okay, fine.
Yeah, I don't think Joe has looked after very many sick people in his life. Let's just put it there. Yeah.
I'll give him one. At least he tried.
At least he tried. Yes. One single point for trying to be a compassionate, caring human being at the most basic level. However, I'm going to subtract 1 point for him not even being able to say her name properly because he's still calling her Magna.
Oh, it drives me nuts.
Me too.
The Magna Carta.
He knows her name, but why won't he say it?
He's lazy.
They also have a meetup with friends. Magda takes him to meet her friends on a boat, and they're also meeting up with her dog, which is fun. The penis-biting dog. Beware. The friends are kind of skeptical for Magda because they think that she makes decisions very, very quickly and rashly when it comes to relationships. They talk about the boyfriend that she had in Germany, that she moved to Germany to live with for 1.5 years in the past. Joe did not know about this. So her standards only go one way, it seems. And Joe calls her impulsive and reckless to the camera, not to her directly, which I think is accurate because if she moved to another country for this guy very quickly, and we've seen how quickly she's attempting to move with Joe to get to the married, having babies stage, yeah, reckless, impulsive, very suitable descriptors.
And don't forget, she's already quit her job, and that was before they even met.
There's that. I keep forgetting about the job. So there is a part of Joe that actually recognizes that that situation is a little bit crazy and maybe a little bit irrational, which is good to know because we have discussed many times how we think he's rather a silly person himself, that he's not serious, that he's really not much of an adult, that he doesn't have too much responsibility and doesn't really have that kind of oomph, the initiative.
I want to say the wherewithal, but I don't know if that's the right word. Is it?
Wherewithal is good. He doesn't have the wherewithal to lead like a responsible adult lifestyle and to make considered decisions. But given that he recognizes that Magda is perhaps acting in a way that is a little bit juvenile when it comes to relationships, I do have hope that maybe there's a part of him that is grown up. Small part.
Very tiny. Very tiny.
Very, very. Any further comments about the lovely Joe and Magda?
Oh.
No, right.
Oh, yes. Wait, I do have one. When they were going into the salt mine, he makes a joke and he says, do they have pepper mines too? And the look on her face was so hysterical. Just like, oh, you could feel those daggers. She's getting so sick of his antics with his stupid jokes. And I absolutely adored that part.
He is annoying.
He really is.
It's annoying.
Okay, that's all I got.
All right. Vanja, not Vanja and anybody, just Vanja.
Good for her.
Yeah, she's coming to terms with the reality of the fact that she is alone in Croatia. Okay, yeah, good. She's considering coming back home early. But then she talks to her cousin, and her cousin encourages her to stay, to try meeting some men while she's there. Ones who are able to buy flowers and not half-dead potted plants retrieved from a dumpster.
She can't bring home with her.
Again, a low bar, but I agree. Yes, do stay, do enjoy yourself, do try to make the best of it. Who knows? Maybe you'll meet some fantastic man. And in the evening, Vanja is in this outdoor cafe by herself, of course. So this is the perfect opportunity for production to step in and set her up with a plant, not the green kind, the random man kind.
I appreciate the clarification.
No problem. Just as they did with Sophie and Rob when they went into the sex shop and got propositioned by a random woman. Shock surprise. How did you feel about this plant?
That was irritating. Thought it was unnecessary. I feel like I don't know if she was aware of it, but it just seems so gross that, they would send a guy and be like, yeah, go over and flirt with her. And, he says, we're on a date. And she's like, is that what this is? And he's like, yeah, but I have a girlfriend. Like, can you not just send someone who might actually be an option and then have her decide that she doesn't want to be with him, as opposed to just presenting someone like this dude?
This dude is not a good dude. I feel
Mm-mm.
like they just chose the most handsome, youngish guy that they could, and that was it.
Who just happened to be there.
Who just happened to be there on his own. They say, hey, can you talk to her for a little bit because she's sad and lonely and maybe something will happen and you'll be on TV. So, of course, he jumps at the opportunity. And I don't know if the story about him being in an open relationship is true or not. I feel like it was just made up to be as interesting as possible to the audience in the moment. Definitely, he was not available. That was very clear. But the open relationship thing just, I rolled my eyes. Like, come on.
I just thought it was kind of creepy. Just preying on this lonely woman and trying to loop her into whatever makes you happy as opposed to what she might actually need.
Yeah. How is this good for her? How is getting somebody to make a proposition to Vanya going to help her to recover her broken heart after the breakup? It's not.
Mm-mm.
She doesn't need to feel like somebody's third wheel. She doesn't need to feel like a side chick. She doesn't need to feel like the other woman. That's not healthy.
Not in the slightest.
And while we're here, can I mention that, look, I respect and admire Vanya. I think she's an interesting person. I think she's a real person. I love the fact that she's done so much with her life and she goes out and does these fabulous things all on her own with her own initiative. But she should not start a travel tip business because, first of all, she wore her, whatever it was, 6-inch stilettos to travel in the plane. Bad idea. Not good. But now she's talking to this random dude who shows up at her table and telling him that she is in the country by herself for 3 weeks. Not smart.
Not safe.
No. So, Vanya, stick to your 4-day jobs. Don't become a travel consultant, please.
Agreed.
All right. So that's all we have, I think, because we didn't see Brian and Ingrid. We didn't see Vea and Sunny. And next week, Vanya is dating, which is going to be fabulous. I can't wait to see that. Vea is considering having a second meeting between Sunny and Rory. Oh, Lord.
That's going to go over so well.
Loren is defending himself yet again. Joe wants to talk about the future with Magda. Uh-oh. And Brian decides to turn up the heat on his gaslighting campaign. Yay! So much to look forward to. But in the meantime, let us turn to our bonus content, which is for The Other Way, Season 6, Episode 22. This is the final part of the tell-all. It's all going to be over after this. So hang on, we're nearly there.
I'd like to say that I was surprised when the episode ended because it felt like nothing had happened.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we're done. Really?
Yes. There were a lot of questions that were left unanswered. I wrote so many questions in my notes of things that I wanted to know. And yet, we just leave everybody behind in the night.
There's a lot to unpack
It's a
here.
mystery.
Let's not go back and talk about it later.
No, let's not. All right. Corona and Inky are in the hot seat first. She's screaming obscenities at Inky, of course. I mean, if ever you wanted to show that you are vindictive, that you are actually racked with guilt because she knows that he's not wrong, she's the one who is, and she's trying to cover up her sense of guilt with casting all of this shade, making so many accusations against Inky. Like, just follow Corona's lead. This is the way to prove to the audience that you are the bad guy. Scream obscenities, throw insults. This is all her fault in my eyes, because she insisted from the beginning of their relationship, when she went to Iceland, to be false to Inky, to come up with this idea of soft partnering him.
Yeah.
I know. I want to vomit every time I hear that too. She was not honest with Inky about who she was, how she actually is in a relationship. And then when he came to the US, she was completely different. And she probably abruptly stopped that soft partnering, the being nice and patient part, and unleashed her true nasty self, which, I want to be clear, this is not a weakness, okay? Knowing when Inky goes off stage and he says, I'm not coming back, this is not a weakness. Knowing that you're not going to be heard, knowing that the person that you're trying to talk about and to is just speaking over you, spewing lies, hurling insults nonstop, and telling the audience that everything that you say is untrue, and trying to get everybody on the cast member's side to be against you because you don't happen to be in the same room with them. That is not weakness to walk away from that. That is strength.
She was just being belligerent, and I commend Inky for being able to see the situation for what it was and just removing himself from it, because he didn't deserve that. He didn't need it.
Nobody deserves to be verbally assaulted. Nobody. There seems to be something flying around in your place. Is it a bat?
I can see it on the video, but I don't see anything here.
It's a ghost bat.
Okay.
So nobody deserves to have lies thrown at them. Nobody deserves all of the pressure, the added pressure of this group of people who have only been told one side of the story while you are not present, to have to defend yourself against that. It's really the only option Inky has, is to walk away.
It's not going to get anywhere.
No.
His words are going to fall on deaf ears. There's really no point.
No. Even when everybody is saying towards the end, his friend Gume and Sarper, and of course Corona and James, calling Inky and calling him out and saying, oh, he should have been here, he should have answered. Well, first of all, that's his choice. And secondly, would you really have listened? Would you really have let him speak, Corona? Would you have taken his words into consideration and just heard them, absorbed them, and let them be? No. She kept calling him a bitch, weak ass this. Every single time she opened her mouth, it was to say something nasty about Inky and to declare him to be a liar. How are you supposed to have a conversation under those circumstances? Well, nobody's defending him, not even Sarper at this point.
Oh, no. I'm glad that he walked off. Poor Inky. He didn't deserve any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And also, no. I was sick of hearing her talk. Just stop.
I think that when Inky was over in the States with Corona, there had to have been some huge disagreement of some kind that was not described when Corona was talking about her last conversation with Inky on the bench in the park, where she says, he left and then she never saw him again. Like, how is that possible? Like, wouldn't you have had to go to her place to retrieve all of his things?
Yeah.
Book a ticket?
Where's his luggage? What happened?
How did he get into her apartment without a key? Like, there's so many questions there, but that's just logistics. There has to have been a conversation that was very provocative between the two of them, where either one, both of them, I don't know, got offended and reached a place where they realized, either together or individually, that they can't be with that person as a long-term prospect. And so Inky, being Inky, because we know he's like Mr. Oh, okay, well, probably just went, oh, there's no point. I realized that this isn't going to work out long term, so I'll just cut my losses and go.
And there's no point in talking about it because we've seen how she reacts.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like that's probably how things went down rather than as Corona described it. Since we didn't get to hear Inky's description of the final argument, the final moments that they spent together, I'm just imagining that that's the way things went. And I found it very ironic when they were all talking about Inky and Inky's behavior that James was the one who said Inky needs to grow up. How
Yeah.
ironic.
Thanks, James. No
Thank,
one cares.
thank you for your contribution.
I wanted to know whether or not she actually did file for the K1 visa, because I don't believe that. The receipts are it didn't happen.
She did put some pictures up on social media showing a bill of $650 something, I think it was, for an application. But it was like a portion of the page, so you couldn't see the whole thing. I didn't know exactly what it was, but she was providing this as her proof that she paid for stuff while Inky was here, and one of those things was the application or the start of the application, because I think it's about $2,000 in total. So she paid for an initial part of it. Now he said he paid for stuff, or Goumet said that on Inky's behalf that he paid for stuff, and that so they probably both paid for things, and they both feel like they owe each other money. Who cares? It's over.
Yet her family said that he's a user, and yet he's the one who left. So if he was using her for anything, why would he pick up and use his own money to get back?
Exactly. And their idea initially was for her to move to Iceland. It was never to go to the United States. That wasn't him, that was her. Because she said she had to go back for this midwifery degree, which obviously she did. She needs to do that in the US where she can actually understand the language that is being spoken. So the whole premise of him being intentionally using Corona to get a green card is ridiculous. Her family all being there and all sticking up for her was not surprising. Obviously, they're going to completely mimic everything that Corona says about Inky. They're her support system, but you can tell it's all just garbage. It's all one-sided. You can see where Corona gets her kind of edginess from, because they all seem to have a bit of an attitude on stage, and they're all quite nasty towards Inky. Even knowing that you're going to be on TV, you would think you would tone it down just a little bit, but no. And then there's this. They present this idea that a man is not allowed to have a change of heart partway through a relationship, and that if he does, that there's something fundamentally wrong with him, and how could he possibly do that? Yes, with him, not with her. But I'm like, this happens all the time. This is what a relationship is. There is a process whereby you figure out over the course of months, years, weeks, days, who knows how long, if you're compatible enough with each other to be a couple. And he got to the point, or you got to the point, or both of you did, I don't know, where that was clearly not the future for you. And it is not his fault that he had a change of heart. It's the way life is.
It's his fault.
Unbelievable.
It's not. I wanted to throw it out there that when he met her family on the Zoom call, they asked, has she popped off on you yet? And she even laughed. She's like, oh no, I'm soft partnering, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So I wonder when he actually came to the States, if, she dropped the soft partnering thing and then she was quote unquote popping off on him all the time. And that's what made him leave.
Well, she even admits to us that because she's at school, because she's doing her course at the same time that Inky is visiting her, that things are really stressful. So you can totally understand how it would not be just a regular, happy, relaxed days like they had in Iceland when she didn't have any work or studies to do at all. Understandable,
School,
right?
yeah.
I don't know. It was so frustrating and annoying that she was completely unmovable in her position that she was in the right and Inky was in the wrong. And yet we know that she's been lying this whole time to Inky about with her soft partnering approach, that when she was in the States, she was under pressure, she was herself. And even Shekinah said about Sarper, now that he's on my turf, things are going to be different. I have more of a voice. I feel more confident in myself. Would not the same thing apply to Corona? I mean, it's just natural when you're in your home country, when you're relaxed and comfortable with your surroundings, that you're going to be a little bit more assertive than you are if you're in a foreign country with people you don't know, a language you don't speak, etc. Meh, I don't know. We don't need to belabor the point, I'm sure.
Do not, no.
Let's talk about Sean and Joanne.
Lies.
The lies. Oh, the lies. Yes. Okay, there are many lies. But first, I just want to say, happy note, he has his green card. That was fast.
How did that even happen?
No idea. And he is planning to move to the US. You may proceed with the list of lies. I am listening.
I just don't. First of all, the whole green card thing, I don't understand it. Like, is this isn't the K1? This is like an actual green card. So
Spousal.
How? Okay, so the lies. He didn't tell his daughter that he was going to the States. He told her that he was going to England because she really wanted to see Joanne. Now, you'd think that because the introduction of, the marriage to the children was so contentious, you might want to embrace the fact that your child wants to see her new stepmom. So why wouldn't you just bring her?
Yeah.
Oh, what an idea. But no, let's lie and say that we're in England.
Let's have more secrets.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's in England, and yet she told him before, like after the whole marriage reveal thing, she said, if you lie to me again, I'm never going to trust you again. And here he is on national television because she's never going to see it, nor is she ever going to figure out the fact that he was in the States. Yeah, not the brightest, not the best choice.
Not the best dad move ever.
No. And I'm going to quote Corona on this one. I think this is the most observant and rational thing that she's said probably since she got on the screen. That she said to Sean that he's allergic to planning. Maybe she said it to both Sean and Joanne. I don't know. I don't care. But yeah.
Very perfect description. He was smiling when he was saying that he'd lied to his daughter, which I thought was pathetic.
Awful.
Because he does not realize what he's doing. He has learned absolutely nothing. Nothing.
Completely tarnishing his relationship with his daughter, and he's laughing about it because he got what he wants, and that's to be with Joanne. But wasn't the whole idea she was going to move to Ireland anyway? But now all that's kiboshed because he got a green card? And so, I don't know.
It's a little sus. No, it's a lot sus. When they revealed the secret marriage to the kids, they specifically promised no more secrets. Specifically. Okay, so you've already destroyed your kids' trust once by having a secret marriage, which you tell them about 2 years later. Then you promise, I'm not going to keep any more secrets from you. Then you lie to your daughter's face and say that you're going to England when in fact you're going to New York. And you have no specific return date in mind. He said he hadn't booked his return ticket. He didn't know when he was going back to Ireland. He is so severely damaging his daughter's trust. And I know people may think, oh, that's a bit of an exaggeration. Come on, she'll get over it. She's a kid. Kids are resilient. Yes, kids are resilient. No, she will never forget this for the rest of her life. I can guarantee you that.
Won't.
And you did it after you made a promise to her, a solemn promise that you weren't going to keep secrets from her anymore. And yet you did it again.
It's on video. As if her memory isn't good enough.
Yeah.
She can watch it back. And she can show him, look what you said.
Yep.
And now look what you've done. You've ruined everything.
And this couple, I mean, it's not just the kids who are being wounded by their actions. Joanne's mom is another of the walking wounded. And somebody we hadn't even considered yet because we hadn't even heard him mentioned is Joanne's dad, who apparently is going to be extraordinarily heartbroken by the news that his daughter has been married for 2 years without his knowledge.
And he still doesn't know. And yet
And
apparently Sean stayed at their place for 2.5 days, if I heard her mom correctly. And you, what?
I know. I was like, oh, so you haven't told your dad. Oh, okay. So, like, the parents must be divorced and he lives far away and you don't see him that often. No, he's in the other room while they're talking to Joanne's mom. He's been there the whole time. And like, oh,
It's the bold-faced lies that bother me. Everyone else is just, well, I mean, she has an ass. So it's all like,
yeah.
a lot of them are lies by omission, but these are just so bold.
Yeah.
So bold.
They play back the scene where they revealed to the kids that they're married, and it was just awful to see that again. The presentation that Joanne and Sean chose for that particular reveal was so badly handled. They could have chosen much, much better words. They could have created like a soft landing for the kids. They could have prefaced it with all kinds of reassurance first. But nothing. No, it was I didn't remember that it was that awful until they showed it again.
Mm-hmm. And then it was like, are you joking? And then they hold up their ring fingers as if,
Yeah.
you can't have a ring on that finger unless, it's official.
So all in all, my feeling about Sean and Joanne is not great. I mean, I know a lot of people love them. They think he's a really sexy guy. They think she's a really lucky woman, that this is a great couple, that they're one of the true couples on the show. Okay, yeah, whatever. I'll grant you all of that. But in my opinion, their parenting sucks. Donkeys. Because they are just skating over the fact that they've really, really hurt all of their kids very, very badly. And they're not even learning from their lesson the first time around.
Something else that really pisses me off about it is one of them was like, now is the time to celebrate because everyone knows. Joanne's dad doesn't know yet. But they're like, yeah, let's celebrate our shitty decision making and our lies and our selfishness and our ignorance to our children's feelings. Let's celebrate us now. No, you can't get married and then be like 2 years later, be like, okay, now we're gonna tell everyone celebrate us. We've broken a couple hearts along the way. It's just our kids, whatever, they'll get over it. Celebrate us because we made this decision for us, because we love each other. It's for us. Celebrate us. Look at us. So disturbing.
It's very selfish behavior. It's very hard as a parent to watch that and to try to imagine what kind of level of selfishness, of self-interestedness that it would take in order to come to those decisions, and then to repeat the betrayal to your kids by then pretending that you're in another country just because your daughter wants to come with you to see her new stepmom and probably her stepbrothers, and to see New York and be involved in all this stuff. Like, why was it such a big deal to get the daughter to come with him? Joanne has people that can look after the daughter.
Maybe he could have brought his mom, and then, there could have been like a whole mingling and introduction of the families. Now you get to meet everyone else in the family. But no, let's continue to ostracize everyone because it doesn't fit with whatever their plans were for his trip, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. We have Shekinah and the Sarper on the hot seat next. I don't have too much to say about them as usual. I did love the idea that Sarper could choose the therapist that they want to go see for couples counseling, and yet that person happens to be one of his exes, somebody he used to sleep with. I thought that was just hilarious that he chose this ex, and Shekinah, of course, will not have none of it.
I can't blame her on that one.
Yeah. I loved the fact that when they were talking about all the plastic surgeries that Shekinah's had, that they're calling Sarper her designer. Like, that is so gross. That's her face. That's her body. You don't call yourself the design. Oh, please save me from this. And then the idea that they're both going to get tattoos when they get married. Fine. Okay, whatever. But she's going to have a great big Sarper on her neck. And everybody in the cast says, no, 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 don't do it. It's not the right choice. She's like, oh, I want to. I'm going to anyway. I don't care. No. Ew.
I loved when she said that Sarper encouraged her and took her to get all of her fillers dissolved, except for her lips. And even Corona was like, nah, I don't believe that.
Yeah. I don't know what to believe. Shekinah apparently posted that she did have all the fillers removed, dissolved, whatever the process is. And then she had her own fat injected into her face as a replacement. So I don't know. Maybe
Is that what I missed that?
No, that wasn't in the show. It was on her social media. Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever. I don't know what to believe. Who knows? Let's talk about James and Tata a little bit more. Okay, there's an issue of control. Neither one of us wants to talk.
No.
The control issue, this comes up over and over again with all of our couples, I think. James severed his relationships with some of his friends because Tata couldn't handle it, which I thought was sad. And then there's the cheating. He watched videos of girls dancing in bikinis, and Tata goes to her sister and says that James cheated on her.
Oh,
fascinating.
Back in my day, I mean, as of right now, currently, whatever, watching women dance in bikinis is just not considered cheating in my mind. I mean, maybe it would be one thing, if you agreed that, he couldn't watch porn or something without you, but that's not even porn.
No, it's just girls dancing in bikinis.
Yeah. Are you saying that now he can't watch the women's national volleyball championship?
No. Oh, God, no.
Is that too little?
I'm pretty sure that's cheating. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Really interesting. Like, talk about extremism. I would have said it's at the level of Adnan, because Adnan won't let Tigerlily have a man doctor touch her, and Tata won't let James watch random women in bikinis. I'd say that's pretty equal as far as control goes.
I just think it's nuts.
It is nuts. It is totally nuts. And nobody agrees that what James had done is in fact cheating. Of course they don't. But we found out that he deleted all of his social media out of deference to Tata because she took this bikini watching episode so seriously. And she can pick up his phone and look at it whenever she wants to. And she has a tracking, location tracking on for him all the time. I have no issue with location tracking in couples. I think that it's actually a sensible thing to do in case there's an emergency or just whatever. But I wouldn't use it for, spying on my partner. No, thank you. But
where are you at? You're 5 minutes late. Where are you? Are you actually where you're supposed to be?
I mean, how much control do you need to have of your husband in order for you to feel secure in your marriage?
The trust, but it's also the insecurities. Like, look at how insecure she is.
Yeah.
And obviously Shekinah as well.
Yeah. So we did get to an interesting point where James is asked, what is the plan now? Are you going to go back to Indonesia? He says, yes, that has always been the plan. They are going to go back. But they haven't been able to do that yet because he had some financial setbacks. And I wondered, is part of the setback all of the money that you're spending on Angel's visa to come to the US and her plane tickets? Well, that stuff probably is. But nevertheless, he says in about 6 months, they'll be able to go back. This would be the permanent move to Indonesia, ostensibly. But we don't know. Did he get his job back? Did his family forgive him? Does he have a job prospect in Indonesia now? Does Tata? Is she going to get a job when they go back? Have they resolved any of those issues? And why is Angel coming now at this point when they're 6 months away from moving back to Indonesia, which is an awful lot of work and expense for James to go through, and of course, also lots of trouble for them to deal with when she's actually there, when they're going to just go back in 6 months and she's planning to stay for up to 6 months?
She's not even there yet.
Yeah. Why is James wasting his money? But we don't get any answers to any of those questions.
I think the most important question that wasn't asked, it wasn't broached in the slightest.
Mm-hmm.
Where's JoJo?
I'm assuming that JoJo is with them. But you're right. We did not get any kind of discussion around the dog, so we don't know for sure.
Just the only child she's ever going to know, and yet she couldn't even bring him up.
Mm-hmm.
And are they going to take JoJo with them when they leave?
Did they get the right paperwork this time? Are they preparing?
Who knows?
Mm.
I think this is going to be one of those last minute things again where can't because of all the rabies stuff and blah, 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 whatever excuses they used, whatever.
Final couple. Yay, we're here. This is the end. Josh and Lily, one last time. And as predicted, Jordan came back. Jared,
yes.
The lovely Jared. Wasn't it funny when Jared came on stage and Lily says, "Oh, I miss you so much, Jared. You are so handsome." Did you say any of that stuff to your husband? Or is it only for your brother-in-law?
She probably feels more of an emotional connection to him than she does with Josh because, Jared actually knows how to communicate.
Yeah, I can see that. Then the other person that's on the show, of course, is Vivian. No.
So dramatic. Well, she is an actress and she definitely played it up.
She should not be talking like this or about these things to her mother, with her mother, about her mother's marriage. She should not be speaking to Josh about his sex life with her mother. How is any of this stuff appropriate for Vivian to be saying? How is Lily allowing her daughter to say these words?
And yet she just sits there and she does nothing.
I know.
I cannot fathom how this would be considered okay for her.
And Josh actually answers the question that Vivian asks about his sex life. Ugh. Like, this is none of her business. Why is she a part of this conversation? The other thing that I wanted to know is, who was it that texted Vivian to say that they're getting divorced? Was it Josh or Lily? Because she said, you texted me or something like that.
I feel like she was implying that it was Josh.
Mm-hmm.
Lily didn't know about it. But I feel like Lily was the one that filed for the divorce. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of it got lost in translation. I wasn't sure which one of the two parent figures texted Vivian to say that they were getting divorced. It seemed like Lily had done some preliminary work towards getting a divorce, but then Josh said that he'd already spoken to a divorce lawyer. Does that mean that he's actually filing? Or does that mean he's just asking questions like, what would this entail if I were to get divorced?
Clear on any of it.
No. And through it all, Jared is sitting there saying, oh, I think they should stay together. I think they should work on their issues and see how it goes. Like, oh, dude, you are optimistic.
I feel like Jared was on the TV for a good old 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I found this segment to be so short, I actually started a new page of notes. And then all of a sudden it was over and I was, what?
It ended very, very abruptly.
Yes.
But first, may I ask you a question?
You can ask me anything.
Amy, pray tell, what is verbal judo? How do I sign up for a course? Will we ever know?
I really want to have some sort of pithy remark, but I don't think my brain is working quickly in any capacity.
Verbal judo. Like, is that self-defense verbal judo? Or is it offensive?
Is it
verbal
defense?
Judo? Does it deflect away the aggression of somebody who's coming at you and like turn it into a peaceful situation? Because I didn't see any of that when Josh and Lily were together. It's a very strange thing for him to say.
I have absolutely no idea.
Okay.
But I had the same question. Verbal judo? Question mark.
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
Mhm.
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 The other thing that I found a little bit odd was at the very end when Lily calls Josh to come back to the stage so that they can talk a little bit more privately. It's this very like patchwork kind of resolution. It didn't make any sense to me. It seemed like there was nothing substantial behind the words that they were both saying, like, "Oh, okay, let's work on stuff." But work on what stuff and how? How do you really feel about each other? You haven't really said that. It feels like they're slapping a band-aid on a bleeding jugular. It's not going to work. You got to do more than that. Just say that you're going to stick together. You have to actually do some stuff. You have to do the work, but I feel like they are completely clueless and there's no way that they're going to salvage this.
It just came out of nowhere because there was nothing within that their segment or communication that indicated that either one of them wanted to continue. You know, the word
Yeah.
divorce was thrown around so many times, and you know, the whole blame game back and forth, and you know, Vivian just being a shit disturber. And then all of a sudden, like you'd think, you know, they walk off the set and you're like, okay, great, we're getting divorced, and then she calls him back, and it's like, but where did that come from?
Yeah.
What what what?
It was so
Yes.
disjointed.
Hmm.
I didn't understand it at all.
Was it editing or was it just that random?
I think it was that random. It felt like they were both like an 11th hour trying to save their marriage, but without any kind of idea of how they were going to achieve that. And it felt so flimsy and insubstantial that there's, like I said, there's no way they're going to be able to save this corpse of a bleeding marriage that they have.
Just so confusing, but it's not the first time that they've done it. You know, the whole
Yeah.
wedding, like waiting until like 2 hours before guests arrive to pay for the rest of it.
Yep.
Last minute decisions. No,
Yeah.
maybe no, we shouldn't get married. No, we should not get married. Yeah, 2 hours, let's do it.
Yeah, so maybe it's just in keeping with their style. Maybe it's appropriate for Josh and Lily that we just get this weird, vague ending with no resolution and no plan at all.
Firmly believe that their approach to their relationship should go the same way as the dodo.
How dare you?
That makes sense.
Yeah, extinction.
Yes.
Extinction.
Okay.
All right, well, that is the end of The Other Way Season 6.
Finally.
Finally coming to its very weird, very strange conclusion,
I
but
wouldn't
it
call it
is
a
over.
conclusion.
It's an anti-conclusion. It's yeah, but at least it is done, and now we move on.
Yeah.
Before we go, if you're enjoying the 90 Day Fiancé Honestly podcast, please subscribe to or follow our show. And if you have an additional moment, please rate us and help other 90 Day fans to find our show. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, everyone.
See you next week.